Having a good sense of fashion versus having good style. Being able to point out what is good and bad in fashion is totally different to being able to create a good outfit. Just like being able to point out good and bad graphic design is totally different to being able to actually create a good logo in Illustrator. So I think it's very possible to have a good fashion sense while lacking style. And I feel like that's me right now. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new, my name's Phoebe. This happens to me a couple times a year. I'll start to feel totally bored of all the outfits I've been wearing, which makes me bored of the pieces themselves, which makes me discouraged anytime I look in my wardrobe, which makes me reach for the same things I wear every day, which makes me question my entire sense of style. Most of the time, this just prompts me to go on Pinterest and get re-inspired and invite a few new pieces into my closet. But this time, it kind of felt bigger than that. It felt like it was time for a deeper look into what causes these fashion crises. The main thing that's been bothering me is my outfits just feel kind of blah and boring. And I have no problem with simplicity. I love simple outfits when they're intentional and when they're done right. I think it's totally possible to be really intentional and creative with simple outfits. But my outfits have been feeling like the boring kind of simple, the one-dimensional kind of simple. They weren't feeling like a creative act. I've talked about this phenomenon before, and this is going to sound like a totally overdramatic way of explaining it, which it is, but to put it in psychological terms, my outfits have been feeling like I'm moving away from pain as opposed to towards pleasure. And this is what I mean. I feel like the criteria I've been using to put outfits together has been more avoiding things that I don't want rather than making sure to include things that I really like. And when I thought more about this, I realized that a lot of the things I avoid when I put outfits together are trends. I admittedly have kind of a pick-me-girl attitude when it comes to styling. I want to dress in a way that's uniquely stylish without looking like I'm trying to get attention, and that lets people know I have a good fashion sense without just looking like I'm following all the trends and dressing like a Pinterest girl, and that flatters my body without it seeming like that is my main priority over fashion. And I've started to realize that when I hold one outfit to that many standards, the creative act of putting on an outfit becomes paralyzing and not creative at all. Imposing that many subconscious rules and regulations on my outfits has left me no choice but to wear the same things I always do. My goal has always been to create outfits that are fashionable while remaining understated, and I feel like I have been placing way too much priority on the latter. And in an effort to try to figure out where I've been missing the mark, I had to look back on my clothing Pinterest board, and I noticed something. An unexpected pattern. I think of myself as pretty anti-trends. I kind of cringe at myself whenever I feel like I'm wearing something that's super trendy. And yet, most of the outfits I have saved on Pinterest have an element of trendiness to them, and oftentimes a big element of trendiness. And that element is usually something that I was drawn to and something I really liked about the outfit. It's not that I love those outfits and pinned them despite them being a little bit trendy. Those trendy moments and pieces were part of the reason I loved the outfit and were trendy things that I was drawn to naturally. So it turns out I don't actually hate trendy things. I'm drawn to a lot of them. And it's only when I start styling myself that I overthink and cringe and hold myself to a way higher standard of avoiding all things viral, all things trendy, all things Pinteresty. And ironically, holding myself to that higher standard is ultimately what has been stifling my creativity and making my outfits worse. Why am I avoiding the very elements and pieces that once inspired me? I have this Pinterest board, this visual representation of the kind of wearable fashion that I love, yet I stray so far away from it because I try to cut out every trendy element and appear totally unique in my outfits. And dressing 100% uniquely is quite literally an impossible feat. Everything is trendy in some way. Everything was trendy at some point. This is something that I feel like a lot of us are collectively coming to terms with now, especially because with Pinterest and Instagram and TikTok fashion, there are more current trends than ever before. It's almost like social media has made the trend cycle so fast that it's almost long again, like almost non-existent. in a way, because it runs so rampant that everything is trendy, which means nothing is trendy, which means that nothing is timeless, which means that everything is timeless. Do you know what I'm saying? So I think avoiding all trends, and even avoiding most trends, is an absolute lost cause. And like, yeah, you can avoid all trends, but then you're just gonna end up like me for the past month, dressing in a very nothing style. You can avoid trends, you can kind of do it, but what I mean is that avoiding trends in an effort to look uniquely fashionable is kind of a lost cause at this point. Everything has been done and everything is still being done, and you can see all of it online at any time. Every styled outfit is trendy in some way, so in an effort to not look trendy, I end up massively understyling. And the problem is, not only has this mindset affected the way I dress, but it has affected the way I shop for clothes too. I spent so long thinking I had the right idea with never buying anything too trendy, never buying anything that I thought I could get sick of quickly, never buying anything that couldn't be styled a ton of different ways, could only be worn a few different ways or to a few different occasions. And I still think that's a good mindset to have for your basics or even for most of your wardrobe. But now all of my clothing pieces feel very neutral, very unassuming, very middle of the road. So even though I've figured out that I kind of want to start trying to be playful again, I don't feel like I have the tools to do it. I went from being a borderline shopping addict in my early years, always playing catch up with the current trends, always having a wardrobe that had a really quick turnover, a really short lifespan and life cycle, to more recently avoiding bandwagon trends like the plague and finding a reason not to buy every cute thing that I'm drawn to. And neither mindset really lends itself to creativity or self-expression, which brings me to my secondary thesis of this video. Bad style is better than no style. After pondering all of this one day, I was out walking through downtown Charleston with my sister, and something I love so much about Charleston, and it's something that I loved about living on the Sunshine Coast of Australia as well, is that people try with their outfits. People get dressed for the day. People put effort into getting dressed. They don't have the attitude of thinking it's embarrassing or cringe to try hard on any normal mundane day. And seeing that just brings me so much serotonin. I love seeing people express their style no matter what it is. And on this particular day, I was realizing that styles that I claim to hate or would never wear myself still bring me so much more joy than an outfit that has no intention behind it. Or worse, an outfit that intentionally has no intention behind it. Okay, that sentence made no sense, but I'm talking about high schoolers these days who wear pajamas to school because the last thing they want is to look like they care. Anyway, I was noticing that my mood and outlook on life was so bright that day because everyone around me was wearing outfits that had their own intention behind them. I claim to hate Lily Pulitzer, for example, but when I see girls dressed up in their Lily Pulitzer dresses, it still makes me happy. I would never wear an outfit like this, or this, or this. But seeing people in these kinds of outfits still brings me so much more happiness than seeing people in outfits that aren't styled at all. And it's because it makes me feel like they appreciate life and think it's worth getting dressed for. Not dressing up in a fancy way, but just in a way that kind of shows that they think it's worth it to show up in the world in that way. It makes life feel so fun because it makes me feel like they think life is so fun. And I understand that not everybody has to care about fashion. I'm not saying that I think everyone needs to start trying harder for the sake of the people around them. I'm just using this anecdote as a way to illustrate my realization that overstyling is better than understyling. And avoiding all trends kind of gives me the same energy as those high school kids wearing PJs to school, which I understand is ironic because now wearing PJs to school is kind of a trend in itself in that age group, but you know what I mean. It's cool to try hard. It's cool to care, but avoiding looking trendy at all costs limits you so much in this day and age where trends make up so much of what's out there. So what does this mean we should do? I guess it just means we should wear what we like. I guess it means we should wear the trends we naturally like and not wear the trends we naturally dislike. And you might be thinking, duh, Also, haven't you come to this same conclusion in like 5 of your videos? And you would be right. The answer is yes. But sometimes it takes learning a lesson in 5 different roundabout ways, having 5 different crises, and arriving at the same solution 5 different times to really hammer in your head that it is indeed the correct mindset to adopt. So if you want to join me on this journey of trying to be authentically playful again, trying to remain true to my understated nature while indulging in trends that I naturally love, subscribe to my channel and we will be in this together. And I would love to know in the comments if any of you guys feel like you get stuck in this loop and kind of stuck in this self-proclaiming prophecy of like, you think you have bad style, which makes you feel paralyzed creatively, which makes you have worse style, etc. And I know this might be a really overly deep way of thinking about fashion, but I'm gonna assume that if you clicked on this video, you value fashion, you love fashion, and you understand how fun and creatively fulfilling it can be, and therefore how frustrating it can be when you don't know how to express yourself with it anymore. So yeah, let me know if any of this resonates, and give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to my channel if you want to, and I will talk to you guys very soon. Bye.